Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of August 25th through 31st, which makes it the last full week of August. What did you guys think about this month? Put down below if you guys, hopefully you guys have been watching the weeklies, but also the monthlies. So I'd love to see if anything transpired for you. And I also... transpired from those readings. Also, let me know down below if any of this stuff in this reading resonates with you. You know, I love reading comments. The rest of that is like this video. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energies and the influences of the week. What else? Like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I think that's it. Same three decks that you guys are familiar with. Nothing out of the ordinary here. And let's just jump right into it, guys. Let's see what's going on for this last full week of August. All right, clean it up. Oh, we like that. Clean it up, guys. Do the little things. Clean up any messes that you've already made for the month, for the following weeks, not the following, the previous weeks. Get things in order, right? So we need to kind of be doing that. So I would say any projects maybe that you started recently, definitely be able to finish those up and tidy up your space. Like it's almost like this, clean it up always has like kind of like this ending type energy sort of attached to it. Well, usually, and definitely in this reading for sure. Yeah, just clean it up, guys. I feel like something might be coming. I'm already excited for this reading. All right, let's go to action needed. We have rescuer upside down. Assumes that the rescuer will reciprocate, keeps the rescue one needy. Okay, so this is about not being the rescuer, not falling into that trap. Sometimes it's appropriate and applicable, but this is basically saying that maybe we're keeping somebody codependent on us, or we're keeping ourselves codependent. We're waiting for somebody to rescue us, and basically it's under action needed. So Spirit is saying, no, we got to rescue ourselves, right? We gotta cut somebody loose who, you know, we're making codependent on us. Helping somebody get their own resources. So this could mean a lot of different things. You guys know I read intuitively. Definitely getting something here, especially for parents. That maybe there's something going on with a parent-child dynamic, or if you know, obviously if you have parents yourself, you're the child, there's something here with that relationship, with the parental relationship to child relationship, where maybe, you know, we're holding on too tight and not necessarily letting them go, get their independence, like that kind of thing. So I definitely do feel like if there's any parents out there, I am not a parent, so it doesn't necessarily resonate with me, but, you know, there might be something kind of like, you know, ask yourself if you're like, maybe wanting to feel needed. I know a lot of people feel that way even if they're not a parent, that they want people to need them. Codependency shows up in other types of relationships, obviously. So definitely it's saying that we kind of need to really kind of go on our own, find that interdependence, find that independence, and maybe not necessarily worrying about other people rescuing us or saving us, and kind of like taking action on what we actually need right now. What we can do for ourselves. So basically ask yourself what you can do for yourself. You know, why are you waiting on other people? What are you waiting for? That kind of thing. So take action on what you need. And like I said, the parent-child relationship, make sure that, you know, especially if you're in the parental role, make sure maybe you're not like keeping somebody on the hook, you know, your child on the hook for something to feel needy. Okay, so that's a more specific thing. I know I read for the collective, but I read intuitively, you guys know that, so just wanted to throw it out there. Knight, be brave and honest. Okay, so this is about doing, quote unquote, the right thing, being brave, integrity, honesty, all of those good qualities of like a good knight. And so we have issues with that, okay? So we have issues being brave, we have issues being honest, we have issues staying in integrity. There's not too much more I can say about that. I don't feel like it's major, I feel like it's minor. When I say brave, I mean like maybe telling the truth, you know, because it's connected with honesty, or, you know, saying the thing that maybe you've been afraid to say, like something along those lines. Integrity to me, I don't know if I would give it like an official definition here, but it's almost like doing what you say you'll do, doing what you claim your character is, like that kind of thing. So we're having some issues there. So the best thing I can kind of say for this is, like, again, I feel like it's minor. I don't feel like it's like a major like thing. And it happens to everybody, right? It happens to everybody. But we're just, there's something holding us back from telling the truth, staying in integrity, doing what we say what we're going to do. But again, I feel like it's minor and it's not like a huge thing. Okay, challenge. Not for you. Okay, so this isn't necessarily having a challenge walking away from something that's not for you. This is a challenge about recognizing what's not for you, which is very interesting. So basically it's saying that you're having issues with the clarity piece of this, right? So we don't know how to say no, maybe as well, could be, part of this energy. So that's going to be a challenge, afraid to say no. Or you might be like in analysis paralysis, where you're afraid to like kind of turn something down because you're not sure if it's for you. I wouldn't be surprised if we got the Direction Guardian card. I believe that's the card in the Angels and Ancestors deck that I'm using here, because that kind of alludes to the fact that we have decisions to make. And this feels like it's definitely coming up with lack of clarity, confusion in some way, shape, or form about possibly a decision that we have to make, or an opportunity presenting itself, and we're just not sure if it's for us. Or it could be something that we're currently in, where we're just like, I don't know if this is for me. So if we're having issues with clarity, I always bring in intuition, right? Use your intuition, use your discernment too. You can use your logic, obviously, as well. But also too, it just might not be the time. I know I said analysis paralysis, but unless we had the Direction Guardian somewhere in this reading, which we'll see, right? We're only 4 cards in, but maybe it's saying more so like, maybe you don't have to make the decision. Maybe, don't make the decision until you're clear. You know what I mean? So, you're just having an issue finding out like what's for you, what's not for you, and maybe you just need more time, need more time to kind of decide, and kind of like marinate on it a little bit. So interesting challenges we've got going on this week. All right, what's actually changing? Orphan child, feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. Okay, this is actually a positive thing, even though it came up in the shadow, okay? Because sometimes shadow, indicates maybe more some negative or more in the ego instead of soul. But this is basically saying that what's changing are abandonment issues, the things that are stifling our maturity. Finding, because we feel so alone, because we feel so depressed, orphan child is basically feeling like an orphan, right? That we sometimes maybe attach to something that's not really good for us, right? Like this could also kind of indicate a little bit of addictions, right? Like we just want to fit in, so maybe we might be doing things out of character in that way, out of character. Okay, look at the Knight card, what I said about integrity. So definitely does feel like that's changing, is that we are not allowing, let me see if I say this right. Almost like not allowing our loneliness, our feelings of being misunderstood, our feelings of depression, even loneliness, not feeling like we belong, depression, feeling like nobody understands us, makes us almost do certain things. And basically this is saying like, you're not going to be doing those things anymore, because you're now recognizing it. You now have the self-awareness to change it, right? You're not going to be abandoning yourself anymore because you're desperate for these things, right? And that's really great. That's like that. I don't even know what an appropriate word for this is, because it's really maybe I'm going to go as far as to say is like more of an enlightened perspective, like a more, maybe mature is the word, maybe an enlightened, maybe mature way of kind of like looking at things, and you're not allowing other things to, tap into that and kind of like pull you in that direction. The thing that I'm thinking of, to be honest, for this energy is almost like, this is a little extreme, but let's go with it. Like a cult, right? Like a lot of people join cults, what's the definition of a cult? I'm not an expert or anything, but it's kind of like people that are really seeking to belong or seeking something of higher purpose sometimes fall into, most times I would say, may fall, victim, honestly, to cults, right? And so this is kind of like almost that energy, because it's kind of like you're waking up to the cult. Like you're waking up to like, oh my God, like, you're waking up to the deprogramming. You're being like, oh my God, the whole reason I joined this thing is because I was like alone and I thought that they understood me. But it turns out they're not so wonderful at the end of the day, right? They're a little shady. So like, it almost feels like that. I know I'm like talking a lot about it, but like this actually feels like major energy, right? Because it just feels like our whole worldview is kind of like changing. Our whole, I don't want to say necessarily mindset, but like the way we look at things maybe. Or, like there's definitely like there's feeling of like becoming enlightened, becoming mature, and like understanding that these certain things, addictions, cults, whatever, are not, certain group of people, organization, whatever, we're only doing it because we feel alone or we feel abandoned, and it's not actually what we want, right? And so things are changing in that aspect. So I love that. Hopefully that trickles up, I guess, globally. So we'll see what happens this week for sure. But I love this energy. There's not too much more I can say about it, but I think it's such a great change, right? And I feel like it's a big change. All right, what do we need to focus on or prioritize? Warrior. Ooh, look at that. Yes, yes, yes. Be fearless and stand strong. So yeah, focus on standing strong, focus on being fearless, focus on conquering what you feel is impossible. Focus like on that warrior spirit, like you can do it, you can get through it. You're strong, you're resourceful, you're resilient, you're like all of those things. So I absolutely love that. Great focus. But I will add here, again, we're not fully through the reading, so we'll see. But something tells me we might be going through some difficult things. So, so far, I haven't necessarily seen anything that might be like extremely difficult, but when warrior or healer comes up, sometimes that indicates that, so we will see. We need to reflect on soulmates. Okay, so this is really about our close relationships, especially those that seem more harmonious or divine, or, more like that soulmate, soul connection type energy. So this is basically saying reflect on those relationships. Maybe this is just saying like evaluate those relationships, look at them. I think something's happening. I think we're having like a really powerful, or we've already had it by the time this goes out over the weekend, new moon in Virgo. So I think it affects everybody differently. These are not specific readings, but I think it's a really big new moon of change. And the change is looking at our relationships and looking how, we connect with relationships, and just examining those a little bit closer, I would say. Good prompt or journal prompts to reflect on for this. Really, it's kind of broad. How could we become closer in these relationships? What does this relationship fulfill in me? What are the, why is it so, why are these relationships so harmonious? Yeah, I just think it's just about like examining these relationships like a lot closer and a lot deeper than we usually have, right? There's not too much more I can say about that, but just re-examining those types of relationships. Responsibilities, we have hero, heroine, and passion for a journey of personal empowerment. Okay, your responsibilities are personal empowerment, going on that journey. So personal work, personal development. I love that. There's not too much more I can say here. I mean, that makes sense to me. Guys, if you just saw something fly across the screen, it was a fly. I have a fly in here and it's really annoying. I don't know how they keep getting in here because I don't have any windows open. I run the AC and I have been running the AC all summer, so I don't know. So I apologize if you saw that. Okay, anyway. It's killing me. Oh my God, these flies are killing me. Okay, so yeah, this is basically saying that your responsibilities are like to deal with your personal stuff, okay, personal development. And it makes sense. We've got the rescuer, so we're like dealing with becoming independent, then we have, we're dealing with issues within our integrity and being honest. And then we have the huge transformation over here about, not attaching to things because of our depression, loneliness, feeling misunderstood when, they're not the best things for us kind of deal. So definitely we're being our own hero and heroine, which I love. Not too much more I can say about that. Money and finances, we have peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. Okay, so this is basically money, finances, and career. So it's saying we need to be right. Okay, so if you're feeling like at work, if you're bumping heads with somebody, you want to be right, and it's not something that is, not in the way of being right as far as like, yeah, righteous, doing the just thing, doing, in that way. This one is more of an egoic way. So if your ego is getting too much in your way of work, I'm laughing because I think for every profession it could kind of get there, right? It's kind of saying like leave your ego at the door kind of situation. Speaking of harmonious with soulmates, how could things be more harmonious with your colleagues, your coworkers, like that kind of thing? Maybe that's a good journal prompt. Like, how could you have your relationships at work kind of like reflect your personal relationships? Maybe you want to explore that. But this is basically saying like you're trying to be right, but it's more important to be peaceful. So trying to get the last word in. So if you also too, if you're like dealing with somebody that's like very narcissistic at work, like that is definitely, you can never win with a narcissist, long story short, basically. So this is kind of like being like, all right, just like it like almost like the energy of this is like go to work, make the money, and like, maybe if you don't like your environment, like it's time to go look for another job, but like it's not worth like fighting with your boss or getting on their bad side or, like something like that. So it's kind of like saying like, it's like wasted energy in a way. So hopefully that makes sense. As far as like money and finances, like that part of it, I'm feeling I'm not necessarily getting like so much from that has to do with the peacekeeper, but it doesn't feel like, it's extremely positive or extremely negative. It just like feels neutral. So money is just money this week, right? Like, I don't feel like a windfall of any money or like a tight budget type of week or anything like that. Okay, surprise. It's going to surprise us. No place like home. Okay, so maybe this has something to do with making a trip back home. I don't know, going back to your hometown or something, and it's unexpected, or finding a place that feels like home. Maybe you go on vacation this week and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I could live here. I've had that, happen to me before. Some kind of nostalgia comes up and it comes out of, comes out of nowhere and it makes you feel a certain way. So something along those lines that has to do with home. Again, it's under surprise, so it definitely is going to surprise you. Friends, mother, nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy, and giving birth to life. Okay, so this is all about the positive traits of being, in the mother archetype. So nurturing, patience, love, joy, zest for life. And so it's under friends. I think that's really great. So you might be kind of like feeling that archetype to your friends. Like, I don't know about you, but I have friends that have felt motherly to me at some points. And maybe it's you, right? Maybe you're feeling motherly to your friends. So I just feel like a warm type energy coming through there, and I love that. Could be friends too, could be family too. So maybe like it's a good week for your relationship with your mother. Okay, we talked about parents up here. I got like a strong feeling that maybe our relationships with our parents are going to be highlighted this week, and there's some fixing that needs to be done. There's some healing that needs to be done. But the mother archetype is in the light, and it's like I said, it's like more positive things. So maybe that creates like more of like a positive relationship. I'm not sure, but definitely feel like a motherly hug or a maternal type energy coming from our friend group for sure. Or like I said, family. Romantic connection, lured, take charge with authority. Okay, so this is about leadership, taking charge, feeling more authority. Okay, so it's under romantic connection. Could be a couple of things. Could be one, you're feeling like you're stepping into more of the more of like a, how do I say this? More of like a masculine type role in your relationships, whether you're female, male, but non-binary, whatever. You're taking charge of more of your relationship, and your significant other is seeing you as more as like the authority figure. This could also be your partner doing that, right? And you're like, assuming more of the other role. So somebody is kind of taking the reins in a positive way. Like somebody in the relationship is stepping up in some way, shape, or form and leading in the relationship. And to me, that's positive. Like it's not like oh my God, they're dominating. Oh my God, they're trying to control me. It's a positive type leadership, right? So it's not about control. So I love that, because I definitely do feel like it makes you feel safe, or it's kind of what you've always wanted, or whatever it actually is. So again, I feel like this is a positive thing. Important, we have message in a bottle. Okay, so that means our communication. So it's important to communicate. I do want to say, again, intuitively, I'm getting a hit here about long distance. So it's coming off of romantic connection, which is interesting. So I will put two and two together and say, like, if you're in a long distance relationship, I think it's important to over communicate this week for sure, and keep the communication clear. And just in general, communication is really important. So keep it up, whether it's long distance or not. And it doesn't have to be romantic connections, could be all types of relationships. Okay, health and wellness, scribe in the shadow, learning facts or plagiarizing others' work. Okay, so scribe is always about, as it says here, preserving knowledge and information. So the shadow of that could be plagiarizing others' work, but doesn't necessarily fit here for health and wellness. This is more about like not recording stuff. Okay, not writing stuff down, not not documenting something, right? So it's under health and wellness. So maybe this could be like, this week you decide, maybe you're on a weight loss journey, which I always give as an example. And this week you decide to not document, and write down all of your calories or something like that. And by the way, I don't feel like it's a negative thing. I think it's just an is thing. So maybe you find yourself this week, maybe quote unquote slacking a little bit, which is not, I don't see a negative connotation with that. It's just kind of maybe you're giving yourself a break. Maybe you're not slacking, you're giving yourself a break. Something is not written down, something is not documented. Maybe you have other things going on, which you obviously do have other things going on, but don't beat yourself up if, like I said, it doesn't feel like it's coming off negatively. It's just saying it is what it is. You're just not recording things this week on your health and wellness, whatever journey you're on, whether it's mental, spiritual, physical. So, take that as you will. Not negative, not positive, just neutral. Getting a lot of neutral type energy, so that's interesting. Overall outcome, we have see or see beyond the current situation. So yeah, this one is basically saying what's happening to you right now is not it's not the end. There's definitely so much more to look forward to. So if you feel like this week feels if you feel a stuck energy where you just you're oh, it's always going to be this way, it's not. Obviously the seer is saying no, you have to see beyond what's happening right now. So this is just such a good reminder to say just because you are where you are right now doesn't mean that you'll always be there. And I feel that's such a good reminder. So guys, I think this is a good week. I don't see anything that's negative. Watch out for this parental, parent-child type of dynamic going on up there. I love this change, guys. Love it, love it, love it. I can't talk about how much more I love it, and I feel like it's major. So definitely major turns in the direction of being not being necessarily a slave to addictions, cults, things like that. Obviously that's the more dramatic side of it, but you're not doing things out of abandonment or that kind of thing anymore, which is great. Depression, loneliness, etc. That's not driving your decisions basically, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I actually wouldn't say anything else is a red flag or anything. So I'm loving this week, guys, and I hope you have a good week. Don't forget to put your comments, questions, and all of that down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.